They told your father you would work in a factory. They said you would sew military uniforms, that the work was light, that the pay was regular, that you would send money home every month. They said you were lucky, that not every girl got chosen. They said you would be back before the harvest. Your father believed them. You were 15 years old. The man who came to the door worked for a labor contractor. He had a clipboard and clean shoes. He smiled when he shook your father's hand. He did not look at you the way a man looks at a girl he plans to put to work in a factory. You did not have the words yet to say what you saw in his eyes. You would have them by morning. Welcome to your new life as a comfort woman in Japanese-occupied Korea. The pay is none. The contract you will later be shown is in Japanese, a language you do not read. The factory does not exist. And the only thing standing between you and an empire is your own body, which the empire has already decided is a resource. That's how fast it happens. Chapter 1. A country with no name left to protect you. You were born in Korea during the years of Japanese colonial rule, a period that stretched from before your birth to past the time you would be able to remember a Korea that belonged to itself. You do not have a country. Japan absorbed that in the early years of the century, before your mother was married, before your grandmother was old. The name Korea still lives on the tongues of the people who walk these streets, but on the maps Japan draws, you do not exist as a nation. You exist as a resource zone. The village you grew up in is small. Your family farms. The colonial administration has been taxing the farm for years. The yields go down, the taxes stay level, the debt accumulates the way debt does when the people setting the rate have no intention of letting you pay it off. Your father is not stupid. He is simply poor in a system designed to keep him that way. This is the world you are born into. And this world has already made a calculation about girls like you. The Japanese military, by the time you are a teenager, has been at war for years. War is a logistical operation. It requires supply chains, rice, ammunition, men. And the men who run the imperial supply chain have decided, somewhere in an office in Tokyo, behind a desk with clean paperwork, that the soldiers' biological needs are also a supply chain problem. They call the solution by a name that means loosely comfort station. They do not call it what it is. The girls inside the stations, the women, they call ienfu, comfort women. The word is smooth and bureaucratic. It tells you nothing about the room. Historian Yoshimi Yoshiaki spent years documenting the official paper trail, military directives, procurement notices, transportation orders, that connected the Japanese Imperial Army's command structure directly to the establishment and operation of these stations. The documentation exists. It was not hidden. It was filed. You are in those files. You just don't know it yet. The ledger turns a page. You are 15. The man with clean shoes is at the door. Chapter 2. The distance between home and nowhere. The journey takes days. You are put on a truck, then a train. There are other girls, some younger than you, a few older, none of them much older than their late teens. Nobody explains where you are going. When you ask, the man from the labor contractor tells you the factory is near the front. He says, near the front, the way a person says something that is technically true and designed to mean nothing. You are not going to a factory. Nobody wrote this part down. Imagine it anyway. The first station you arrive at is a building. It has been converted. It has rooms. The rooms have numbers. A woman manages the place. She is Korean, like you, which shocks you more than the Japanese men ever will. Her name is a name you will not speak again after this year. She tells you the rules in the flat tone of a person who stopped feeling things some time ago. She hands you a card. The card has a number. You are no longer a name. The debt system is the first thing she explains. You owe money. For your transport, for your room, for the food they will feed you, for the clothing they will dress you in, for the medical check that happens once a week. All of it goes on a ledger. You are told you may leave when the debt is cleared. She does not tell you that the debt is structured so that it cannot be cleared. She does not tell you because she does not need to. You will figure it out yourself by the end of the first month. This is sometimes called debt bondage. Inside the station, they call it your account. You have been inside the building for 4 hours. You have not yet seen a window that opens. The historian Chung-Hee Sarah So, in her careful and sometimes contested work on the comfort woman system, documented the varying ways women entered these stations. Some taken by force directly, some deceived as you were deceived, some sold by desperate families who did not fully understand what they were selling their daughters into, and in rare and terrible cases, some who understood partially and still had no other choice. The system was designed to accept you through whichever door was available. The destination was the same regardless. You arrived through the door of a lie. The door is closed now. Chapter 3. What the military called a service. The station has a schedule. You learn it the way you learn anything you cannot refuse, by surviving it. There are hours, there are men, there are quotas, though no one uses the word quota. The soldiers have tickets. They have been given the tickets by their commanding officers. The tickets are redeemable. You are what they are redeemed for. You do not get to keep the tickets. Between the men, there is a room. Your room. It is small, it has a cot, it has a tin basin, there is a curtain instead of a door because the rooms are built close together and the curtain is faster. You learn to count the seconds a curtain is moving versus still. You become very good at arithmetic. Once a week a military doctor comes. The examination is brief and clinical and strips whatever is left of your own understanding of your body as something that belongs to you. He checks for disease. He stamps a card. The stamp means you are cleared for another week of use. If you are not cleared, you are sent to a room at the back that nobody explains. You are never not cleared. Your body is more cooperative than your mind in this way. This is its own kind of grief. You have been here 3 months. You have not received any money. The debt is larger than when you arrived because you got sick in the second week, and the medicine they gave you has been added to your account. The math has never made sense to anyone who did the math. The women around you develop systems, small architectures of endurance. The woman in the room next to yours, you know her by the sound of her cough, by the particular rhythm she hums at night, a song from a province north of yours. She has been here for over a year. She tells you to keep your mind on something small, a patch of sky visible from the corner of the window, the way the rain sounds on the tin roof at night. She says, think of something that belongs only to you. You try. Some days you find something. Some days the something is very small. The soldiers come from across the empire. Some are rough, some are quiet, some seem ashamed. A few are kind in the narrow way a person can be kind when they are participating in a system that removes your humanity. Kind in the sense of not adding extra cruelty. This is the ceiling. This is the most you can hope for from the ceiling. You do not confuse their relative gentleness for seeing you. None of them see you. You are room 7. You are the card with the stamp on it. You are the item in a column in a ledger that someone in an office in Tokyo has signed off on. 3 winters pass. The job has not changed. Chapter 4. The cost the imperial accountants did not record. There are things the military ledger does not count. It does not count the Korean you stop speaking inside the station because speaking it draws attention. It does not count the name you had before they gave you a Japanese name, a name they choose for you, which is its own specific kind of erasure, being renamed by the empire that has already renamed your country. It does not count the letter you write to your mother in the 4th month that you are never permitted to send. It does not count your body, which is changing in ways that have nothing to do with age. Some of the women become pregnant. The military stations have a policy. You do not speak about what the policy involves. You observe its aftermath in the women who come back from the back room with an absence in their eyes that is different from the absence already there. You are not certain how many months have passed. The seasons are unreliable in the way time becomes unreliable when every day is the same sequence of events. You have stopped counting individual men. You count instead the small things that change. A crack in the wall that grows by a finger's width, the way the light shifts in November, the sound of military boots that marks morning from evening. Your body carries the record of everything the ledger leaves out. You will carry it for the rest of your life. A grief that does not discharge. A grief the body learns to carry the way the spine learns to carry weight. You have become fluent in it. Nobody wrote this part down. Imagine it anyway. Chapter 5. Liberation is not the same as rescue. The war ends. You learn this not from an announcement, but from the sudden absence of soldiers. A morning comes when the quota is not filled. Then a day when no one comes at all. The woman who manages the station disappears first. She has more reason to disappear quickly than most. The building empties the way buildings empty when the thing that was holding them together stops. You are standing in a room that was your room. The room is not yours. There is no ship waiting to take you home. There is no government agency with a list of your name and village. The empire that built the system has surrendered. But surrendering an empire does not automatically produce a plan for the girls. The empire moved across its borders for its soldiers' use. You make your way back over weeks. Some women do not make it back at all. Stranded on Pacific islands, in Chinese provinces, in places the war moved the stations that geography now makes inaccessible. Some women who survive the journey home find that home has changed. Families who believed the factory story, and many did believe it because the alternative was not something they could afford to think about their daughter. Some families cannot reconcile what they now understand with the daughter standing in front of them. Korea has survived the empire. You are not sure yet whether you have survived it. You do not speak of where you have been. Not yet. Not for a long time. The silence that follows lasts decades. Not because the women do not know what happened to them, but because the world is not yet willing to hear it. And because speaking means being the person who tells it. And being that person in a society that has learned to talk around you rather than at you costs something you are not certain you have left to spend. If this video or file you hadn't looked inside before, stay. The channel has more files. Subscribe or don't. The dead don't care either way. But the living ones, the ones who stood up in their 80s and named what was done to them, they cared about one thing: being counted.